Hey everyone, so today I'm going to be reading a short story from A Gay Berlin New Year. Um, I just got out of the bath, so excuse me. Chapter 1, The Invitation. Wednesday, 31st of December, Paddington, West London, England. He kept asking himself over and over in his head exactly why it was that he was getting off a train at Paddington Station at 1 p.m. on a Wednesday just before the New Year. Typically, he wouldn't have accepted the invitation, but it was far too tempting, and he couldn't say no to him. It made sense that Freddie and Andy had asked him whether he wanted to come to Berlin for the new year with them. However, he still had his doubts and kept overthinking the whole situation, seeing as he didn't have much money left on his credit card and also didn't want to end up in any sordid gay bars or clubs. That was the last thing that he wanted. He wasn't against seeing Freddie and Andy again, though. That was for sure. He wanted to believe that they had good intentions, but something told him that they both probably booked one shared hotel room on purpose. After spending the past 7 nights at Finn's, after spending the past 7 nights at Finn's country estate in Oxfordshire, he was truly exhausted. He also had to return back to Oxford in less than 5 days, as his manager needed him to return to the office, though he was certain she wouldn't even be there, so he could stay in London longer with Freddie and Andy if he needed to. All he wanted was one cappuccino to kill time before Andy was due to meet him near the Paddington Bear statue. Or was it inside the Costa? He couldn't remember. He often got flustered easily. In addition, seeing as he had only lived in the UK for around a year, Matt was incredibly new to very standard things, such as taking the London Underground, or the subway, as he kept calling it, and the names of all the coffee shops that seemed to multiply in number and name constantly. Freddie had more than gratefully accepted the mission to rescue a poor, defenseless Canadian from getting lost at the station. Matt found it very sweet that they both felt such a strong obligation to protect him, even though they barely knew him. It was possibly due to the fact they'd spent a lot of time together over Christmas, and he had been their go-to person at social events, as they didn't know very many other people at the parties they'd gone to. He was secretly glad that they were a couple, as the last thing he wanted was a boyfriend. Or, more accurately, he did want a partner, just not the mess that comes with dating. The lies, and, surprisingly, the lies. He was glad he wasn't back in Toronto, though. He couldn't deal with the guys who were the same age as him. Half of them were influencers, which meant that they had a nude Twitter account, and the other half would turn him fat from all the amazing food that Toronto had to offer. He had to admit, he missed the diversity and incredibly authentic cuisine that Toronto offered. London and Oxford had some gems, but nothing beats Toronto for authenticity and variety. Matt, you're here. It was Andy. He had a delicious smile and looked handsome, and looked fantastic in a black gilet, a white shirt, and some very well-fitting light blue jeans. I'll get your drink, don't worry. He'd seen Matt's card being declined for a second time as he had approached him. He took out his phone and tapped it for him. Hey, oh wow, thanks. I can't use it for some reason. It's my Royal Bank of Canada card. I've used it loads of times. Weird. In Canada or the UK? Matt looked confused. Don't all credit cards work the same everywhere? Ugh, so dumb. No, silly boy. The Canadian ones use Interac, whatever that is. Look, you can't use it here. The barista handed the cappuccino to Matt with a kind look on her face. He briefly wondered whether she thought they were on a date, then wiped the idea from his mind as it appeared to him a little too much. It was the kind of thought that gently nudges you, even though you can't articulate why you like it and keep thinking that you'd actually enjoy the idea. Preposterous, he thought. Andy has a boyfriend. Don't be silly. Let's head outside. Freddie's waiting for us. He was trying to explain to the cab driver how to get back to Fulham. I don't know why he's asking Freddie. He's the driver. Strange people. Matt didn't respond. He followed Andy as he walked out, then gently called out to him as he caught up and walked alongside him. So, why Berlin? You don't need to take me. Andy looked to his left, briefly pushed his hair back with his right arm, and smiled. It was a wry kind of smile, not beaming, just enough to crease those cheeks and make him look frightfully gorgeous. There was something about a shirt and a collar on a guy. Matt loved the way the gilet collar and the white collar both brought out his jawline. Although Matt was 11 or 12 years younger than Andy, he looked almost the same age as him, possibly slightly older at 25 or 27 at a stretch. Andy was also slightly taller than him, had a husky, well-spoken London accent, and had an incredibly meaty ass that he had spent the whole of Christmas at Silverbourne Manor oogling at, as it was hard not to objectify such a beautiful, prominent asset. In short, Matt was enamored and had been with both Freddie and Andy when he had first met them a few weeks ago. We felt sorry for you. Also, I have a bunch of air miles, so I use them to get you a flight. We're not in economy class, which is amazing. Can't do that anymore. Sorry for me. Am I that sad looking? He laughed. He laughed at Andy in a flirtatious kind of way with a smile on his face. He was clearly joking, but wanted to make sure Andy understood that. You're cute, that's what you are. Don't worry, it's my treat. Don't think about it. You're safe in our hands. Hearing this made him feel warm inside. It wasn't possessive in a bad way. It turned him on to hear it, and he knew they were his kind of people, and he could relax around them. This mattered. Everyone he had met in Oxford so far had been oddly stuffy and formal. Perhaps London was better for him, both socially and professionally. Guess I'd better behave then. Andy seemed to like this response. He called out to Freddie, who was standing close to the drop-off area. He had a blue Theory jacket on, which looked warm. He briefly wondered how good it would feel to wrap his arms around Freddie inside the jacket and feel the warmth of his body. Hey Matt, nice to see you. You look good. Been having less champagne, eh? Freddie teased. I had a glass of wine with Brian yesterday morning. Apart from that, I had a good rest, so yeah, feeling pretty good. Nice. Looking forward to your surprise, Freddie responded, looking searchingly into Matt's eyes. He was devastatingly gorgeous, older, and so hunky. Absolutely. Are we getting lunch before heading to Heathrow? What's the plan? Andy interjected. Yep, I wanted to go to Bizarro. The flight isn't until 4 p.m., so I figured we could grab lunch here quickly instead of at Heathrow. Sorry, I had a bath, very wet. Pay us back another time, it's our treat, like Andy told you. Unbeknownst to Matt, the two of them had recently sold some of Andy's more expensive photographs at an exhibition in East London. It meant they could afford the trip and simply wanted to show him around Berlin and give him a good time. Not an act of charity per se, but more of a lovely gesture by a couple of guys who know how the smallest of gestures could make a difference. They clearly liked Matt and could tell by the way they spoke to him and how they'd taken to him time to get to know him over Christmas. He double-checked that he had his Swiss passport with him. He was a dual national, so enjoyed the benefit of travelling freely around the European Union without needing to line up in the non-EU lines, and didn't have to pay the visa fee. He was incredibly precious about his Swiss passport, lagging behind the two of them slightly. He lagged behind the two of them slightly as they made their way to the Italian restaurant adjacent to Paddington Station. They were talking amongst themselves as he managed to catch up with them both. As they approached the restaurant, he was reminded of how lucky he was to be heading to Berlin for the New Year's Eve. This would be one hell of a trip, he thought to himself, smiling as he did so, and looking fondly at Freddie and Andy. That was the first chapter of A Gay Berlin New Year. You can find this on Amazon, online, Indigo, loads of other places too. Check my bio, you'll find it. Sorry about the wetness.